for coming, either in person or online, for the memorial for June Marie Leondar. And I'm glad that everyone could be here one way or the other today. And my mom was a great person, and if you'd like to come up and tell your story about her that you have, that's going to be fine. And so I'm going to read a couple of things real quick to start out. And I found this note going through some of her stuff. And this note was probably from when she was teaching herself how to teach others how to play music or sing or whatever it was. And it's a quote from a book, Career in Music by Harriet Johnson. And my mom obviously thought that this passage was worth writing down in her notes, in her own hand. The singer's voice must become the instrument of his or her intelligent imagination. Your continued growth and development, the enlargement of your own vision, of your emotional and spiritual potentialities, are more of a basic importance. For the deeper understanding, the more profoundly you communicate music to the listener. The essential greatness of your art lies within you. The immediate circumstances of the musician's life may vary, but the spiritual and emotional ramifications of his or her art are the intangible elements of music. It's almost an unending range of expressive possibilities, our tremendous literature unique to civilization. I also found another note, which I thought was pretty awesome, handwritten, and it had a date of February 10th, 2019. And my mom and dad like to write down these notes and never tell anyone about them, so we kind of found them, so that's fine. So it's a praise of feeling for our day, February 10th, 2019. I'm honored to be with you today. Sitting with you last evening caused me to rise from sleep this a.m. with such joy in my heart. These words come to my mind as I gave attention to each of you and the life path each of you are creating. Halston, what a beautiful, inquisitive little boy. It will be exciting to see you grow. Kinsler, growing so fast, such a beautiful mind, you will do great things in the future. Andrew, handsome, sweet-spirited, and always the best help anyone could ask for. Aaron, creating living spaces for humans on this earth, a monument to greatness. Brent, looking after the safety and fairness in the community life. Marissa, the most honored position in life among us, mother. Kimberly, the rock of our world, together here. Unselfishly looking after hundreds of details, which makes our lives around the homestead better daily. Rough part here. Then there is my Morris. Never the one to weakly flatter efforts, but always making difficult decisions with care, concern for the effect to other human beings. Your dad was so proud of the many successful, challenging life choices you make, and I know today he is with me in feeling great happiness. It's wonderful to know you as a human being of God's highest order, with my heart full of happiness, June Leondar. Well, that was awesome, and Janice, thank you. Right now, I'd like to open the floor up to anyone that wants to come up and say any words about my mom. Feel free to come up here, and Marissa, you're going to be first. Since you're out there. Come on. You're right.
No pressure. Hi, I'm Marissa. I am the oldest grandchild and the only granddaughter, so I'm pretty special. I don't public speak well, and I don't understand it. And apparently can't understand it with the mask on. Alright, I didn't write this, but I thought it was beautiful and I thought everybody should hear it. This is an email we received from one of Grandma's music teachers. Sorry. Miss Patricia sent this, and it says, one of our most beloved and respected teachers passed away Sunday on February 28, 2021. I received the news on Monday, March 1st, from the newsletter coordinator of FWMTA. I could not help but have lots of tears at that moment. When I had just stepped into the music scene here, I was new to the associations and in search of the right direction to follow. It was Miss June Leondar who guided me all the way through. Her boundless patience encouraged me to complete many music teaching tasks. Miss June not only devoted her life, her time, and her energy to the students and teachers alongside her loving family, but also to involve enthusiastically the highest standards of fine arts and music. We could frequently see her at local concerts and events, many of which she witnessed their growth from early years, such as Fort Worth Symphony Orchestra, Ben Clyburn International Piano Competition, TCU School of Music, and on. She grew up on a farm and woke up very early at 3 or 4 in the morning to help her parents milk their cows. She had once been asked if she went back to the beginning, would she still like to grow up on the farm? I probably asked her the same thing. said she would have chosen not to grow up on the farm because of the strain it had on her hands. It kept her from achieving her pianistic aspirations. Yet growing up on the farm meant she was rooted in nature and showered by beautiful elements of humanity. No wonder she became the person we knew and loved. Down to earth, diligent, wise, caring, and unconditionally loving, with a genuine and kind heart. She will always be fondly in our memories. All right, follow that.
When I graduated from TCU master program in 1980, my husband and I moved to Grapevine, Texas. And I became ill not long after that, and had gotten quite a few students and had to give half of them up because of it. But then in 1981, June called me. I did not know her at the time. She had gotten hold of some teachers at TCU, piano prep department, and they recommended me to her to help judge the Sonata Festival at the time at TCC Northeast Campus because that was close to Grapevine. That was when I first met her and got to work with her. Later, after working in business for 12 years and still teaching and working at my churches, I decided I really wanted to do music full time, no longer doing the business end of it. And about 3 years later, after I'd gotten my second master's in education, I was asked by one of my former music teachers I had in elementary school to teach a student that lived next door to her who happened to have a teacher that was a member of the Fort Worth music teachers. And she had died. And that she needed another teacher to carry on and teach her for the piano solo contest. And I did not have to be a member of Fort Worth music teachers to do that. So I started doing that, and at that time, June approached me and kept asking me to join. So in 2002, I did. And about a year later, a committee that I was on for the piano solo contest, the chairperson of that had to resign 1 month before we were to do the contest and get it scheduled. And I knew nothing about the committee. So I called June, and she said, call the people on that committee, of which Marita Travis was one, Marianne First, June, and also Eileen Kilborn, and we met at Eileen's house. And that day I sat there and I wrote down everything they gave me. All 4 of them gave me wonderful advice. And they let me watch and sit and, observe what they do at that contest and help me to put it together. And for about 6 of those years, I tried to run it myself, but then it got bigger and bigger, and Marita was asked to be co-chair of that. And together we worked for 6 more years on that. And after 12 years, I decided to give it up. But in 2009, in the midst of all that, June asked me to be her, for lack of a better word, co-conspirator, gathering all the music together for the conference. And at that time, she was in her 80s, early to mid-80s, and I was just amazed at the energy she had to get all that music, climb up all those stools, and we had to go to TCU to get the music at that time. We no longer have to do that, but oh my gosh. And then afterwards, we carried it downtown, or had them carried downtown, and we would give them out for the whole 2 weeks to the judges and go back and forth, back and forth. She had a special suitcase that she used for that, and that was really wonderful to see. But the energy she had going back and forth, I was just going, I hope I have that kind of energy when I get to be her age. She was still driving in her early 90s to my house to go to some meeting. You know, I didn't want her to go on the whole way, so I would take her the rest of the way. But the thing about June, whether she is very supportive of the organization, extremely supportive, and she would give advice. And whether you took it or not, that was up to you. But at least she was willing to mentor you. She did it willingly, and she felt like there should be other teachers to be mentored to younger teachers that were coming in. I will always remember June and her kindness and helping to gather all this together for me. And if it weren't for her, I don't think I would have been back as a full-fledged teacher as I have been. And I have been teaching at TCC Northwest Campus ever since 2001. So, thank you, June, for all that you've done for me.
It is a pleasure to speak to you about June Leondar. One of the things that we had in common, I found out many years later after I came into Fort Worth Music Teachers, that June was from Lockney. That's 15 miles from Plainview, where I grew up. So I used to tease her about Lockney being just a little something in comparison to Plainview. And we all know West Texas towns, they're few and far between, but Lockney was 15 miles from Plainview. And so I felt like that I had a wonderful cohort that made me feel that West Texas is represented again in Fort Worth Music Teachers. And I came from another Music Teachers Association, but June was everywhere all the time. And our young teachers felt intimidated by her a little bit because she could be very direct, as you know. And so there were hurt feelings, and I was just kind of scared of her. And so we became friends, and as most of us do when we age, we mellow. And June certainly did that and was so kind to many new members, young members, and as Echo said, she mentored so much to the young people and to us, and I was privileged to be on the theory committee with her for several years, and I went out to Morris's June's house and talked with her, talked with Andrew, and we have boxed up, left messages for them to box up what needed to be thrown out. But I have never seen so much music from all kinds, secular readings of music that I'm sure she played for you all to hear and sing along with her. But the other thing is that I knew how much Arnold meant to her. But in seeing things that were in her files that I was permitted to go through, I saw over and over again how much she loved Arnold and how much she loved your Morris and her daughters-in-law and her grandchildren. And so I want you to know that it was a privilege to know her, to be around her, and musically, of course, but the soul of Miss June will always stay in our minds. Thank you.
I'm Brent. I'm the oldest grandson, regardless of what Erin says. She kind of adopted and took me in. Anyone knows me, I love to talk. I'll talk all day long with everybody and act like I'm an expert at everything, but really not. I'm not even really a jack of all trades and a master of none, but I'll get through it. All right, so I'm good. All right, so everybody keeps talking about how great of a teacher Grandma was, and musically there's no doubt she's probably the best. I just want to talk about how Grandma was a teacher at life. See, I guess I came in the family in 2006. First Christmas I wasn't invited to because I always had to build a fence at the horse's house, so they left me over there. But Grandma kind of figured out what happened. The next weekend I was invited to breakfast, where I figured out the Sunday morning biscuits were the best things ever. And that's where I met Aaron. Oh wow, young, had a cast on his hand, punching a refrigerator or something. His dad Brant, and his mom Luann, and Lawrence and Kim. We sit around the table, and I've always known how to talk, but I never know how to listen. Through Grandma, I learned how to listen to people. She would ask questions and be 100% so in. Everything he said. She wanted to know about your life, your family, your goals, and your dreams. And though she was listening, she was also teaching. And these are some of the biggest quirks that we still laugh about, but I've learned so much through them. Grandma wasted nothing. Literally nothing. We have Ziploc bags that she's rewashed several times. When we throw them away, she'd gather them back out. When you get a pie, she would take it, rewash the pie pan, put it aside because one day it could be used for something. One day I was asking her about it. She said that when you grew up on the farm, you had to make do with what you had, and nothing goes wasted. I think that's the way she looked at everybody too. I think she saw us all. We all made mistakes, we're all dirty. But when you talk to Grandma, she'd wash you up, put you right back to use, and you'd be ready to go again. She never let you give up on your dreams. She never let me give up on my college education. And that's something I miss the most. Our evening talks, I'd get home, she'd be sitting in her chair watching, what's the other? Jeopardy, Price is Right, all these shows, just horrified by how these women are dressing. And why would anybody show cleavage? She never understood, but it was a great conversation night. We'd sit back and we'd talk about it. And once again, she'd say, don't quit, keep going, you can do this. Never quit, never stopped encouraging on education. She loved so freely, but I think she taught us all to be very, don't waste anything, save it, reuse it. She was very good with her money. She didn't spend it, she didn't blow it. She was very, very, very right on that. But when she gave big. She loved big. I think she taught us all how to love each other. The love for Morris. Her love as a parent has taught me so much about loving a child. She saw the good in everybody, even the grandkids. The great grandkids, they drove her nuts. They drove her completely nuts. But at the end of the day, she loved them. She hugged them. But I just wanted to share some of the great things that it was, and things I learned from her was, we don't waste. Things can be reused. Doesn't matter how dirty it is. We can always clean it up and get it around. And when we love big like Grandma. So, thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Alexander. I hadn't planned on saying anything, but y'all have inspired me. I have admired the Leondar family from a distance. I'm a piano teacher in the area, but it started back when I was accompanying Grapevine High School. Mr. Brent Leondar was the band instructor there, and I saw this excellence balanced with graciousness and care for the individual. Even though I just saw him from a distance, I really never got to work with him personally. And it was several years later, well now about 10 years ago, that I was introduced to Mrs. June Leondar. She always said, call her June. I said, yes ma'am. Even though I'm not from these parts, I still had to tell her yes ma'am. I know that's a thing here. Anyway, and I figured out where Mr. Brent Leondar got his excellence balanced with graciousness, and that was from his mom. And professionally, I stepped into the TCC preparatory piano department that she started years ago, and she was always such an encouragement. She knew times had changed from when she first started it, and she was so reassuring that, I didn't have to live up to the standard that she had set, which is very high, but that it could be attained slowly and surely. And I just so appreciated her encouragement on the professional level. And I could identify with the big family. I come from a big family myself, and seeing her family, small part of her family, when she received her Lifetime Achievement Award from Texas Music Teachers Association, and just seeing them gather around her and just love her, and what a life force she was with her family. But then personally, she brought that to a very personal level. It was not just professional with her. And my daughter is a budding artist, and I don't know what of my artwork that Julie saw, but she knew that she had taken over the years and was very serious about her art. And when Mr. Arnold Leondar cared for everybody that she encountered in such a personal way, and just wanted to see them really grow. And then last but not least, my last communication with her was through email, and of course she signed it with love, June. And she signed all of her professional emails, love, June. And that just has always stood out to me that, it was not just about the piano teaching, that it was, she cared about people in a very personal way. So y'all have been blessed to have her as a mom, grandma, aunt, all those things in your lives, and I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Well, that's one thing both my parents did was encourage others for sure. And so we appreciate all the kind words. One thing about the music teachers, my mom and dad retired in 1998. We built them a house in Parker County, and we got out of town first. And when you're tired, you don't really do anything. You kind of sit down and do something else, right? No, my dad made some artwork happen over the years, and my mom would always be frantically working on something to do with music. And every year, about the same time, I'd check in with her and go, "Didn't you retire?" Because you're killing yourself here doing your music stuff. So take it easy. She could do that. So, but that's fine. She loved it, and that was the big part of her life. And thank goodness for her family, her dad and mom, to give us a person like that, and with such influence, really over the whole state. And hopefully some of her friends, former students, are watching even from the other side of the world. So that's pretty cool. And so, if no one else wants to throw out some kind words, anyone else? I'll look over my glasses like she did. Anyone else?
Thanks, Morris. I'm Ilka Araujo. I'm also a member of the Fort Worth Music Teachers Association. And when I moved with my family in 2007 to Fort Worth, June Leondar was actually the first person to receive me really well in the association and to guide every step of my transition to Fort Worth, and of course, as a music teacher and all that. And just like Morris said, yes, she never stopped. She was always working. And that part of her actually really, I think, inspired all of us, because we could see that kept her going. And we are so thankful for everything that she did up until the very last minute. I had the privilege of always being around her and Arnold, because he would always travel with her to the TMTA meetings in Houston. They would always, be together. So I have them very close to my heart, in a way. And in one of the trips, Arnold didn't go, so I actually ended up sharing the room with her, because the convention was at the hotel in the DFW area. So it was just too close, for him to go with her. So I spent the night with her. And we have always talked about so many things beyond music. So I don't look at June just as a piano person. I really see her as a person, because she always shared her stories growing up in a farm, and of course her vision of the world, which I thought I was always impressed for somebody her age, because I always kind of identified her with my own grandparents. And my grandparents, in similar age, seem to be so much behind in adjusting to the new world, and her knowledge of computer was really amazing when my grandparents didn't even want anything to do with computers. So that was always very admiring for all of us. And she has inspired all of us in the association as teachers and as people to care for our students, not just to teach them about music, but to really care, to continue. And together with Marita, going through her books and all that, I found several cards from her former students, which I have to give back to you because they're not really a music in a way, but they just happen to be there together. And so she has left a legacy for everybody in a very inspiring way. So we are all very thankful for everything that she did for us. She will be greatly missed, not just by the Fort Worth Music Teachers Association, but by the Texas Music Teachers Association, but the Forum Association, by the Clyburn, all the foundations. And even though she was working very hard all the way to the end and always very determined, in a way it was very inspiring because we know that kept her going, and at the same time we can see that we always have something else to give and to share. And the last conversation I had with her was, I can't tell, it was probably 3 weeks before she passed away. And she answered the phone, "Is that you, Ilka?" And with so much energy, you know, and she sounded so well. And she said she was already on a wheelchair, she could not walk, but she could not wait until she could walk back because she had work to do for the theory tests. And I was like, "Okay, June, just take a break, you know." And she was like, no, I'm gonna get out of this. I just need to walk back again, and I just need to get better at my breathing, and I will finish up those theory tests. So she had the goals, and she had all the aspirations. And I think if she had chosen to retire at the time she retired, probably, you know, she would have stopped much earlier. And I think the fact that she was always active in taking care of Arnold, you know, all the way to the end, you know, that also really helped her and helped her share more of this greatness thing that hopefully will inspire everybody. I just wanted you all to know that in 2016, we did a video in the association of the history of the Fort Worth Music Teachers Association, because she was the only one who held the knowledge. And she knew the history since the 1930s, which was really amazing. There's nothing written, there are no books, nothing like that. So we made a movie with her, and she is the narrator of that story. So we hope as soon as we publish it, just because we have to, you know, kind of do some finishing and some editing, then we'll share it with you guys, the family, and you know that, because it was very remarkable. And when we had the idea to do the movie, I knew she had so much information in her brain that I wish I could just have one of these like flash drives, you know, that I put in her brain and extract all the information. It was amazing. And there was no way that we could write about it. So the best way was just to have her narrate the story. And she did that beautifully and gave all of us in the association a little bit more information so that we can, you know, continue the legacy and continue to inspire people. So we're very thankful for June and for the family. And she did love everybody in a professional level and also on the personal level. Thank you very much.
One more short thing I was thinking about when we talk about TMTA. I'm not sure of the circumstances. I think she was at Tarrant County College doing something for the TMTA or judging or something. I was at work for the city of Grapevine in the fire department. I get this call, "Hey, we're bringing your mom in to the hospital." I said, "Oh. What happened?" "Oh, she'll tell you when we get there." So we went up to the ER and met the ambulance, and I opened the doors, and there's my mom sitting up on the stretcher, and she has blood running down her leg. I'm like, well, she wanted to come here. I said, oh, okay, to the medics from Hearst or whatever. And what had happened was she was doing some kind of judging at the school, and she went to sit down and missed a chair or something and hit the floor. So she also had blood coming down her head. And I'm like, God, can you just slow down? Anyway, thanks for all the thoughts. My aunt has got one more piano solo, my mom's family piano, and then my friend Steve Bass is going to come up and give a prayer.
Is there anything more beautiful and restful than that? I think she got a lot of rest probably along the years, and I know that you as a family did. Let's pray together. Almighty God, this group that is joined here together, both in person and online, those that will see this are seeing it now, and those who will see it in the future, have to be compelled by the life and legacy of June Leondar. Father, we have witnessed the words and insights into a life that is, by any account, amazing. Your scriptures tell us that we love because you first loved us. Father, that being the case, I can only imagine how deeply you loved her. Because the love that she showed that is paramount in virtually every description that was spoken here. And for those that knew her, the love that she expressed, not only with words, but just with her actions and with her everyday life. For her colleagues, for her friends, for her family, for her children, for her grandchildren, and even for her great-grandchildren. Father, that is a legacy that will endure forever. And it first originated with you. Lord, as we celebrate this life, we thank you for this life. We thank you for who she was. We thank you for what she did. We thank you for the lives that she impacted, that she absolutely changed forever. Father, the work of a teacher, in any case, is, in my opinion, one of the highest works of God. Because it's through that craft and through that career and through that calling that so much and so many are changed, are made aware, are improved, and it goes for generations. And we thank you for her. We thank you for that heart and that calling that you gave to her and the talent, the endless talent. But again, it was expressed through love. Father, the family and friends will grieve. They are mourning now. And we ask you to take each one of them and to hold them. The tears that are expressed are very appropriate, and that's good. Father, the memories will last for the remainder of the lives in this room, in one heart and one way or another. Each memory being a dot in the life of the one holding it. We thank you for that, Father. We ask your care and we ask your presence with each person. I pray that you will be with this family as they go about the days and weeks and months and even years ahead. That memory will not fade. The pain